Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, Urban Law family, to another Friday and another episode of the Urban Law Show with my man, my main man. What's up, Charles? How you doing today?
I'm great, man. How are you?
I'm great, man. I'm hanging in there. I'm
I'm
smiling.
good.
I'm fed. I'm good. Mhm.
Oh yeah, it's been one of those days. I was looking down because I was looking at this article. Um, not even out of the ones that we were supposed to be talking about, but a little bit of breaking news. Raymond Detention Center has two officers who just tested positive for
Whoa,
COVID-19, and they interacted with an inmate, and so
whoa.
the inmate is not showing symptoms as of now, but he was tested on Thursday, and so that's got potential to be wildfire. So let's keep our eye on that.
Yeah, that's a good one. So, look, you said two inmates?
No, two
I mean,
detention
two,
officers.
two detention officers.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, so wow, that's whew.
Yeah,
Let's talk about that for a minute. I know we're gonna dive into some other factors, but when you know, first of all, we know that this is this unprecedented, so we don't have a lot of historical intel we can pull from and say, okay, well, they did this, this, and this, and this work back when it happened. Something similar happened. What are your initial thoughts when I can only imagine, and I can't, I can, and I say imagine because I'm not in that situation, so I can only empathize, but what goes through the mind of a parent, what goes through the mind of someone that's in a detention center, what goes through the mind of the administrators here now. So there's a lot going on very quickly.
yeah, that's a complex dynamic. Simply because you have people who are unable to move without supervision, and so they interact with guards. Hi, Willie, man, how you doing? Uh, hey, mom. Yeah, but they interact with the guards who are coming out and interacting with their families and shopping and doing the things that we do on a day-to-day basis. So they are, in a sense, at the mercy of the administration because they have to have guards in order to run the
right.
facility 24 hours a day. But yet, without stringent protocols, and even with stringent protocols, because you can't make me believe that Harris County Detention Center was not using protocols.
Right.
So
Well,
that just
again,
goes to show you.
we have to remember protocols don't give you immunity. I
No, they
mean,
don't. They don't.
it's not.
I'm not saying that they would give you immunity, but we know that they are taking steps, and it's still,
And then protocol is not. What's that thing they used to say? Protocol does not give you 100% protection from the possibility of contracting the virus either. There's so many factors involved in this virus, which is why I kind of expressed my concerns last week. We are reopening. As we reflect back over Memorial Day weekend, I saw what I was afraid I was going to see.
Well, I think we both said just wait a few days and check the numbers.
Yep.
So here we are doing the show again on a Friday at 4:30. And guess what the Mississippi number is for today?
Yeah.
418 new cases.
Right. Hey, listen.
Last Friday was 263.
We said it, right? We I don't know how else to put it, but I mean, it's not over.
No, it's not over.
The problem is still the problem.
People have now. This is precedented that people have gotten to the point where they have decided that it's over. This happened.
Yeah.
This happened in history a long time ago with the Spanish flu, I believe. They decided that, you know what, it's over, and it wasn't. And a lot more people died as a result of that carelessness. So we need to be mindful of that because you had 17 new deaths here today. And the numbers climb. I watched them climb all week. He went from the 2s to the 300s, and last 2 days 400s.
Yeah, absolutely. And out here a little closer to home where I am, in Houston, we had the club that decided that they would have a party on Memorial, a pool party of all things, and you got in free if you did not wear a mask.
Yeah, so imagine how many people were there.
Yeah, a ton. And so it I'm at a loss of words for a little bit because sometimes I think all of us can reach frustration points with what I call just the lack of common understanding, common sense. Because if there's no vaccine, we don't know all there is to know about it. So we don't really understand how it's contracted. So if we don't understand all the ways it's contracted, we can't necessarily prevent them because we don't know all the ways it transmits. We know some. If we don't know the origin, we don't have a beat on it yet. And I just say, hey, open back up, go back to work. It doesn't mean that the problem has gone away. So now you just remove all protocols and you resume business as normal. It was not a pause. And I felt like a large portion of America treated this past weekend as a pause, and they hit the pause button and started playback again. And we're going to see the effects of that in the coming weeks, because now I just had a neighbor. I was just out talking to my neighbor on yesterday, and he was sharing with me that he had a coworker, and she was the only one in her family that did not go to Mother's Day dinner at mom's house. She was the only sibling that didn't go, large family. Every last one of them tested positive for COVID. She's the only one that didn't test positive because she did not go.
Look, man, we told people find ways to celebrate in your own house.
We did.
The numbers are there. Now they're trying to figure out how to play football. But even before we get to that, because I have my own thoughts about that. Before we get to that,
right,
we're still finding out more and more about how this virus is transmitted. And neither one of us are doctors, but I'm willing to listen to the doctors. And I was on my way to court yesterday, and I heard a doctor who's taking part in helping get New Jersey reopened. And he was talking about his forensic investigation. And he wants to know why the World Health Organization and the CDC is not advising people that it's now an airborne virus. Because he said the 6-foot social distancing rule is for respiratory droplets. So that's why I had you pull that article for me on airborne illness, because he said it really should be more like 12 to 15 feet and not in enclosed spaces. This is from Scientific America. So,
Yeah, this is a nice read. I'll put this link out in the chat so you guys can have that, and it's a nice read. Certainly when you get an opportunity, it's a very nice read.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean.
So speaking of that, as we talk about higher ed for a little minute, we had an announcement come last week as it relates to higher ed, and particularly the college system in the state of Mississippi as it relates to the fall. And I know we're going to talk about the sports component a little bit later, but let's just talk about the colleges reopening business as usual in August.
Well, now, Leslie, I have a small problem with rushing to get these students back in these confined spaces, particularly when I tell you that it may be airborne, and you're talking about putting them in spaces where they're going to be in small dorm rooms and what have you. One of the things that I should point out, one of the forensic investigations that this gentleman carried out was he went to check on the choir rehearsal where 50 people became infected. And he said, based on the time of day, the temperature, and the fact that they were in the choir in the sanctuary, everybody was pulling out their own chairs. That many people getting infected cannot come from social spread. It came from airborne, meaning just like I'm talking to you, I could be spreading the virus just by normal talking. So imagine when it's magnified to singing, or to chanting, or to cheering.
Yeah.
You know, something to think about. But even more than that, while they're telling the kids to come back, they're trying to insulate themselves. So I think everybody should know that while they're telling you to come back to campus, they are petitioning Congress to pass a law that says that they are immune from lawsuits related to COVID-19.
That's important, and that's what I was leading up to, and I really want to spend some time there, because then I think that's worth saying again, because I want to make sure that parents and the students, that they hear what we're saying here, because I want you to be informed. So I'm going to ask you to repeat that, and then we'll go into the article that you're going to refer to on that.
Yeah, I mean, just put the link up for them. They are actively trying to petition Congress to grant immunity from lawsuits for the colleges and universities. These are the latest updates. This is InsideHigherEd.com. College presidents to attend White House meeting. May 29th. This is, if you scroll down a little bit, you'll see that they've hired their own lobby, and they're trying to make sure that they get an audience so that they can seek immunity from lawsuits related to COVID.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to post a couple of comments we're getting up here just so you can be aware of them. What's up? And I was joined. Angela's joined. What's up? Mike TV in the house. Mm-hmm. Mom posted a comment here. If you can see that. No. And
sing in your living room. Sing as loud as you want to in your own living room. The church is within you.
I think I thought about it, and I read that article, and in fact, I had to read it 2 or 3 times because I just couldn't believe the audacity that we know how small those dorm rooms are. Mm-hmm. You and I share the dorm room, so we know what space. And at the time we went to Jackson State, it was 3 to a room at one point. So we certainly understand what that looks like. And I can tell you, there's plenty of time. We're not 6 feet. You can't be 6 feet in those dorm rooms. So how are they going to manage this? And then the audacity of them to want to seek immunity, but they want to mandate you come back to campus. So
that's tough. That's tough.
So I think then the question becomes, what is the accessibility requirements that are going to be put in place that says, hey, I'm going to give you the option of coming back to campus. Are you doing remote learning, right? Online learning. I haven't seen that in any of the options of what they're urging people to do. I haven't seen that option that gives you the choice, the freedom to choose whether you want to be open again. Have you seen that?
I have not.
Yeah.
Just that simple. I have not. But what I did see is the NCAA is putting together a plan as of today to figure out how to assist students in getting back to campus so that fall can resume.
So let's just take the elephant out of the room and let's deal with what we're really talking about. We're talking about money.
Greenbacks, dollar bills.
We're talking about money. And what this becomes is getting to a point now where they're looking at, you get in their pockets. Corona is getting in their pockets. And I think the title of the show today was, will you please leave me alone, Corona? And I said that because it's starting to hurt people in their pockets now, and decisions are being made that are more about economics than about health and safety. Yeah. And so I want to make sure that all of you are informed so that you can make the best decisions for your health and safety, because we know with you as an individual looking at it, it's not about economics. It's about, hey, I want to be safe. And we don't want to put our children in positions where they are in a position where really you can't be safe. If you're in a dorm and there's no way to be safe in that environment. So I think we have a duty to inform, and that's why we're here. So there's quite a few questions coming in, so I'm going to post some of these in comments just so you can see them, Charles. So Cherie says the air exchange in schools, dormitories, etc. will be a major issue. I agree wholeheartedly with that.
Air exchange system. Some of these dorms don't even have air conditioning.
Well, let me just say, air exchange system must have been at some other school, because in the SWAC, I know we don't have air exchange system in some of our dorms. At least none of the ones that
don't make me name names now, because it's some prominent universities that do not have air conditioning in places where these kids lay their head.
So here's another one here, Charles. Why don't you take that one?
Okay. Mask in the grocery store, mask in going about your day. So here's how I look at this. Dr. Fauci spoke to this, and he said wearing a mask is respect of yourself and respect of others is not 100% remedy. Now we know nothing is 100%. But he did say if you wear your mask when you're out in public, it's a 60%. So if you do it and I do it, then we're bringing the rates down by actively respecting each other.
Right.
However, not everybody is going to do that. So my advice would be order online as much as you can, shop online, get delivery. Do everything that you can remotely that's possible. When you do have to go out in public, you cannot be worried about what somebody else is doing. Don't get that close to them, no way. You put your mask on and you do what you have to do efficiently, expeditiously, and get going.
Well, let me come back to something, because I want you to help. I want you to help some parents today. I'm gonna stay here, because you know how I am once I get on something that matters and is important to me. But I want you to help some parents that are hearing this for the first time, that are absolutely like, oh my God moment. Like I think Angela, that was her reaction. Oh my God. When you hear, wait a minute, they're telling the kids you got to come back to school, and then on the other hand, they're trying to get immunity so they can't be sued, which basically puts the parents and the kids with no recourse if something happens. What do you do? Not as an attorney, but I want you to answer it two ways. As an attorney, what do you say there? And then as a parent, which we both are, what do you say if you're in that position as a parent?
Well, right now, that's tough, because let's not be premature and presume that this is going to pass. Two, you have to be proactive. So if you're on scholarship, you need to be trying to find out right now whether or not they're going to let you do the majority of your classes online. They may not be talking about online classes, but they already offer them. So you need to be trying to be proactive and making sure that whenever they open up registration, you get in those online classes. So as a parent, you're going to weigh it out as, do I put my kid in that environment? I mean, it's a safety concern. Legally, we've got to watch and see what that actually says if it becomes the law. So that's why we're watching it right now. We're trying to see who's opposed to it. Right now, Patty Murray is opposed to it, but I mean, Lamar Alexander in Tennessee seems to be on board with it. So, that means that portends that Southern states leadership may be leaning in that direction. Now, Lamar I don't think he's up for re-election, so he's going
to speak his mind. We got a coming in. I'm going to put these in, Charles, from Iris. She also posted the article that this is a reference to. So the article Iris has posted, it's in the comment section for those of you that want to read it. But she said, our HBCUs will not survive without room and board being paid by their students. There's a Black Enterprise article that talks about it. And she put the article in the comments that it's referencing to. So, I think now more than ever is a time that all of us, especially HBCU alums, are going to have to step up and support our HBCUs in ways that, let's just be honest with you, in ways that we have not traditionally done. myself included. I mean, I've supported, but the question always is asked: could I have done more? Yes. And so the reality is, we're going to have to step up in ways that we haven't traditionally stepped up, because they are going to suffer more, more than an institution that has a big endowment, because we know we're not in that space. So we're gonna have to step up as alumni and do more.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. We're gonna have to help row the boat. So I think that makes it even more important that they watch this, because people need to have a recourse should something happen to their child. And then specific to HBCUs, my heart, we come from the same prestigious university. We're gonna do what we gotta do, but parents have still got to watch the space and make sure that they're weighing in to see what's going on.
I agree. Sarita has a comment here. She says, even if I wear my mask, some people refuse to maintain the distance required. I've had to respectfully ask people on several occasions to back up because they were too close to me while in the grocery store line.
Well, now's the time to voice it, because I don't mean any harm, but get back.
And now is not the time to be shy.
No.
Now is not the time to be shy.
Mm-mm.
So I'll tell them quick, hey, I need you to step back to that line.
We want our people to live and live more abundantly. Yeah. Huh? So if that means asking for an additional 3 feet, and look, based off of what I heard from that doctor and what I've read, I'm recommending to our listeners 12 feet. Get back.
Yeah, I think Cherie actually said 12 to 15 feet with negative pressure.
That's right.
Yeah. Look, I think the reality is, and I want everybody to hear this, we're not getting back to normal. We will actually evolve or migrate to a new normal.
We already have to a certain extent.
Yeah, and what I'm saying, we're now, but when we migrated initially, we looked at it as a temporary state. What I'm telling you is, we will never go back to business as it was. It will be a new normal. I give you an example. Once Henry Ford made the first car, society never went back as it used to be. The horse and buggies were still there, but once he made that first car that worked, more people started buying cars than they bought horse and buggies, because I can go a lot further and a lot faster in a car than I can in a horse and buggy. So we'll forever be changed. So we're going to have to embrace this new normal that we're evolving into. And I think the reality of what we'll see, workplaces will never be at full capacity.
No.
It's going to be alternating work schedules. We'll probably never be in the same facilities at the same time. And really, to be honest with you, we haven't seen what sports is going to look like in the future, but it's going to look totally different than it is. And so if that's the case, now we're going to see some changes with that economic model and what that means. So it's about to be a very different world we entered into. No different than when you left the agricultural age and went into the industrial age. We left the industrial age and went into the technological age. Now we're leaving we're in the technological age, but we transform into what? Artificial intelligence. So we are moving. And you either move with it or you get left behind. It's just,
I mean, that's very true. I mean, I want you to think about this closely, because I know somewhere out there we have viewers who are thinking about sports in a purely sports fashion. And they can hear us talking about the dollar component to it. But I want you to think about the social component.
Yeah.
Even for HBCUs, high schools, and colleges, the tailgating money that's generated is huge. Well, if you've got social distancing in effect, it's not going to be too much tailgate.
No. So what does that say? That says that our whole economic model as we know it won't work in the new norm.
You gotta figure it out. I mean, yes, HBCUs are endangered, but they've been on the endangered list for quite some time now.
Yeah, we were in danger when we were in school.
That's right. So we can't rest on that. We gotta use the tools that are available and not make excuses. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. I really do. And I think now is the time to innovate.
Yeah.
So for those of you guys, I'm telling you, the richest people in the world tomorrow are sitting out there listening to us today because you have the innovation in you, and it's going to take innovation. That's the new Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos. That's you. So um, we're gonna have to imagine life, and it's going to take a lot of innovation. So I also see the opportunity, particularly for minorities, to really get in play here and really change the income gap. Now, I'm going to throw this out there. There's something my wife turned me on to. I couldn't stop watching. I was up to 3 a.m. watching it. But there's a documentary on Netflix called Inequality. I strongly urge you all to watch that. Now, if you're economic buffs, you don't have to be an economic buff. I love crunching numbers, but you don't have to be to enjoy this. But you're going to see why we have the wealth gap that we do. And I'll give you a quick synopsis of it. So here's the thing most people don't realize. The average salary for a bank teller in his 70s, $27,000 and some change.
Mm-hmm.
You know what the average salary for a bank teller today is? $24,000 and some change. Mm-hmm. So now a lot of you think like, Leslie, I think you just mixed it up. I think that's the other way around. No, I said it right. Because what has happened is the income gap has gotten so wide between the haves and the have-nots, and you shrunk the middle class because they froze wages. And then wages start going down. So there's a higher gap between the wealthy and then the ones in the working class. Now, how does that gap happen? So let's take that teller that makes $24,000 a year. And if I'm wealthy, and let's say, Charles, help me out with the math. You got a calculator close to you on this one?
I don't own a calculator.
All right, so here it is. Yeah. All right, so then you take that teller makes $24,000 a year. You have somebody that's wealthy, and they make 1,000 times what that person makes. So they make $24 million a year. They don't spend $24 million a year. They don't. They don't. They don't spend $24 million a year. So as an affluent person to tell you, it's only so many gadgets you can buy. It's only so many pairs of jeans. Like I said, I need 3 pairs of jeans, 4 pairs of jeans. I don't need the money. So they don't spend all that money they make a year. So what happens is they invest it usually in some kind of revenue generating source or vehicle, whether it's gold, whether it's the market, whether it's Bitcoin, whatever it is. It's invested where it's not generating and circulating in the society. The economy needs money circulating to keep equality and to grow. But if the wealthiest Americans don't spend that money that's not circulating, then your inequality gap is just going to keep getting broader and broader. Watch the documentary. It goes in a lot more detail, but that's the reality of what we're seeing. And so now you see some of these decisions when you look at an institution, especially when we look at, if we just take the SEC, if we look at the institution and how much money is generated through athletics in those institutions.
Well, I mean,
remember, that's unrestricted revenue, which means you can plug that revenue wherever you need to plug it. It's not restricted like a grant or like state funds are. If that disappears, if that's dramatically reduced, Houston, we got a problem.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, but Power 5 is in a position where they can ask for different things. Right now, check out what I just sent you, and this kind of goes hand in hand. It's curious to me why they're now asking for this.
All right, I'll post it up in just a minute. And thank you, Marsha, for putting this up. She gave me the exact title of that show. It's Inequality for All on Netflix, and it chronicles Robert Rich, just the former Secretary of Labor for Bill Clinton. And so he's the main guy in that documentary. But it's very interesting, very engaging. I'm telling you, you'll learn a lot. You'll be very surprised at what you see.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now I'm looking at the confluence of things that are coming together. You have a scientist on one hand saying we need even further distancing and more time. But yet you have the universities petitioning for immunity. And now you have the Power Five conferences asking the lawmakers not to wait, but to go ahead and put some parameters in place for athletes to get paid. Very interesting.
Interesting. That is very interesting.
So it looks like somebody other than me is gonna have to piece that puzzle together, but I smell something.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, remember they have resisted this forever.
Oh yeah.
And so the commissioners of the Atlantic Coast, Big 10, Big 12, Pac-12, and SEC.
That's the Power Five, baby. That's what the decisions are made.
Oh yeah, I know it's the Power Five, but I just wanted to call it out in case people didn't know who the Power Five were. I just wanted you to know them.
Now you know. If you didn't know, now you know. Those universities thrive. If you look at where they were in the SEC 10 years before they got the SEC network and television royalties, and where they are now,
right?
Every last one of them, even the worst, Vanderbilt, Ole Miss, whoever, name the worst school in the SEC. I don't want to get in trouble for just naming our name.
Well, I mean, it depends when you say worse in terms of what? In terms of athletics?
Yeah.
Then it's by sport. But look, let's face it. Right now, Ole Miss and Kentucky are probably at the bottom of that pool in terms of where the athletic programs are at right this minute.
And yet they both have world-class facilities because of the fund, that check that they get based off of television.
Right.
Up front.
So you compare that in contrast with HBCUs where that is not there, right?
It's not there. It's not there. So I mean, we are products of the HBCU. So we've got a vested interest in making sure that they survive and thrive. And this is going to be tough because room and board is not there. But you got to watch the
Charles, let me just say this. I did not forget Arkansas was in the house, at least. I see you. I got mad love for Arkansas, and I got a very important connection to Arkansas, so I could never.
Well, they counterfeit the list, though, because they suck in football.
But you know what? They might be the worst one in the SEC.
They might be worse.
Think about it.
Thank you for that heads up. They're not very good. They have excellent facilities, though.
They do.
But you know what? Arkansas knew the game a long time ago because they got some Walmart money flowing through the campus. You know what I'm saying? So they got some Tyson chicken money flowing through the campus. So they knew the game.
They did. Indeed, they did. So they're gonna be okay.
Yeah, they'll be all right.
I think as a fan, you guys send in your comments. I know we're sharing a lot of information with you today that we deemed that was important. We want you to be aware of. I really will probably as some of you guys watch The Inequality for All on Netflix. I love to come back and do an episode where we kind of talk about it and digest that. Because I think
let's do that next week. Let's talk about it.
I think that'll be a good one. We'll talk about that next week and dive into that, and we'll let us know. Anybody wants to jump on camera with us and talk about that and join the panel, just hit us up, let us know, and we'll pick somebody. But it was an eye opener for me, and I knew it just from the standpoint of my major and the stuff I like and what I read. But to see it, I hadn't looked at it from the historical perspective of this is what happened in the 1930s. So if it wasn't for my wife saying, "Hey, this is your type of stuff. I think you need to watch this," I didn't know about it. And so once I did that, she'll tell you, I didn't leave the TV. I stood there till it was over, and I was just like, wow. Seeing it is different. Seeing it, knowing it is one thing. Seeing it makes you face it. And the reality is, I get it. And then, especially when you look at the breakdown of where the money is generated. And so it's workers, employees, represent the bottom of that tier. Then it's entrepreneurs, and then it's corporate CEOs. So they represent the wealth flow there. And so,
before you get too deep up into your economic lesson.
yes. Drag me back up, because I will live in that space.
No, I want you to think about it from this way. You're talking about the theoretical underpinnings of society and income wealth gaps. I'm talking about the current news and why students are being dragged back to campus for sport, money, and other reasons.
Yeah, but isn't it the same?
The
same thing.
We're talking about the same thing.
And that's what I was going to say. Different flavor, same thing.
Same thing.
It comes down to, guys, here's the inequality. We go to games. When I go to a game, I'm spending money.
Yeah, we go to game as
consumers. They go to the game, they making money.
It goes on.
Yeah. Inequality gap, right?
That's right.
And there's no doubt, when you have revenue coming in from TV that takes care of all the liabilities in your athletic budget, which means you got external fund coming in that takes care of every expense in your athletic budget. So that means everything you raise on the top of that is laying out. That's a whole different world. And that's what I mean. That's the same that if you're in that wealthy equivalent, even with sports, you don't spend all that revenue. So you got revenue to make investments in facilities. And then guess what? When I make that investment in facilities, what do? I charge the people that come to the game what?
A lot more. And it creates the illusion that is the better place for you. So they attract athletes. There's always been, we're talking about HBCUs and football. So now would be a good time to acknowledge, for those of you trivia fans, who has the most NFL Hall of Famers in the state of Mississippi. It's not Ole Miss. It's not University of Southern Miss. It's not Mississippi State. It's Jackson State. It's not Alcorn. It's not Valley. It's not Belhaven. It's Jackson State.
Period.
Right.
I love.
Right.
But
you have to look long and hard for another HBCU that has that many Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I think the next one is going to be what, Grambling? Yeah.
So keep that in mind now. Things changed. I don't know if you went to, here's a history lesson for you. Jerry Rice, Mississippi Valley State, they played on a Sunday against Alcorn State University and Mississippi Memorial.
Isaac Hope.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? That was a momentous occasion in Mississippi. Back then they used to try to mess with the stats in the newspaper so that they wouldn't see the size of the crowd. Right. I was there as a young boy, so I would never forget the size of the crowd.
People sitting all in the aisles.
The game was at 3 and the stadium opened at 9. So you do the math on that. I don't need a calculator for it. I saw it. Right after that, you saw it had already started, but right after that, you saw pretty much a decimation of them taking our best athletes.
Yep.
And the one thing people may not realize if they're not in the sports is we still have a very competitive product, and we still put out NFL caliber players. But when you take the largest, heaviest players off the field, that creates income imbalance as far as the caliber of your program. So that's where they hurt us at.
Yeah,
there are a lot of skilled players out there, but they hurt us when it comes to linemen on both sides of the ball. And so, we got to reimagine from the tip to the tip how to impact HBCU life going forward. We know the income inequality is there, but now is the time to harness technology. We got some bright minds in HBCU, so we need to figure this problem out.
Yeah, and I love seeing, and the thing about HBCUs I love, no matter which HBCU you went to, have gone to, alumni, you got that pride. So this Iris says Hampton taught me resilience and how to stretch a dollar. I'm with you on that one. Well, in my case, it was 15 cents because I didn't even have a dollar. That old saying of making a dollar out of 15 cents was real for me. Teach these athletes if they get paid how to budget and build wealth.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's vitally important that we teach that. I think that's vitally important. But it's amazing to me how everything that we've touched on today is touching on the income, that disparity.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? It's there. It's prevalent in the decisions that families are making to sacrifice their health over keeping the lights on.
Oh, let me give you my last, and then I'm gonna get out of my bag. But I gotta give you this. So if we think back, even and Charles, this was happening. It started happening in the 80s. You started seeing the first signs of the 70s. It really started getting aggressive in the 80s, and by the 90s, it was full blown. But when unions, there was you look back in the early 70s, 60s, 50s, there was heavily union based.
That's right.
Soon as the companies could get away from unions, they started shipping these jobs overseas because the demands of the union got to a point where they said, well, we go overseas because it was cheaper. We lost all the manufacturing. So when I hear people say, hey, man, we want to get manufacturing back the way it was yesterday, let me be clear. I don't care what anybody ever tells you. Manufacturing ain't ever, and I'm saying ain't for a reason because I want to emphasize it ain't ever coming back the way it used to be. There is no way there's going to be an assembly line with human beings on it when they got robots that work 365 days a year and they don't have a sick day.
That's right.
Not coming back. Not ever coming back the way it used to be. Yeah. It's a new reality. So now you better be able to build the robot, program the robot, control the robot, or figure out a better way to do it better than the robots, because you got to innovate. So it's never going backwards. Society life doesn't go backwards in terms of technology and change it. Fashion goes backwards and pick up styles and rebrings them, reintroduces them. That's not what society does from a technology standpoint, from an innovation standpoint. I haven't met a person yet, not one single person yet, that tells me, hey man, I want you to come over, man, and we're gonna watch this VHS tape. It's better than watching on Netflix, man. It's better than streaming, man. Let me just order it. It's gonna take about a week for it to get here. I haven't seen that. I haven't seen somebody tell me a cassette is better.
There's one exception. There's one exception.
I know where you're going with that. But I haven't never heard somebody tell me that a cassette is better than having my iPad or MP3 where I can automatically go exactly to where I want to go in a file. The one exception is this: a record is still a record.
A record is still a record.
A record was never duplicated.
Spin them, Leslie. Spin them.
A record is still a record because a record was never duplicated. Music was duplicated in another form. But the crispness of that record, the sound of the record, the crackling at the right time, the pause, it's never been duplicated. So that's why when you play a record, even to a kid that's never seen it, it blows them away because a record was never duplicated. That's why they're still popular and they still thrive on. It's just access to them now is at a premium. So you'll pay a lot more to try to get your hands on a record. So again, we have to innovate. And now we're seeing a resurgence of innovations where record stores are actually coming back.
Ooh, the pandemic is hurting, boy. But I tell you what they are doing. They saw the problem, and they are taking advantage of online and the post office.
Yeah.
And they running sales and they selling records.
So, just wanted to point that out. So when we talk about these things, it's very important that we inform you. It's not always a popular thing, but we want you to know. We want you to know that while they're saying, come on back to school, that on one hand, that on the other hand, they're trying to make sure that they have no liability at play. What that means if they get immunity and get a law passed, it means you can hire 10 attorneys. They can't get you no money.
That's right.
That's just as easy as I can put it.
So just be helpful and understand, especially me in Mississippi, understand the numbers are going up for a reason. The numbers are going up because you're showing up. Stop showing up. Numbers won't go up. Do what you have to do for work to support your family. Leave that social stuff alone right now. That's just my 2 cents. I'm gonna stop right there, Liz.
I think we said a lot today. I'm gonna, if you guys any comments, anybody want to put any comments before we end the day, shoot them to me. I get you up right before we close. But I just want to continue to encourage all of you to encourage and talk to family about the importance of the delay. So what I always tell people, and I have people come, hey, can I come back? Can I come back? Can we do this? Can we do this? And my answer is yes, not now. But yes, not now, but yes. And so we will find a way and we will eventually get beyond this. There's going to be a day where we have the vaccine, we can go back out, we can resume. But do understand this. We all have to make sure we're doing things that make us valuable. Because I can tell you as a business owner, I can tell you as all the years I spent in corporate, what they're learning through this time, what can I do without?
That's right.
What can I do with that? So if you think, and I've just got to be honest with you, if you're naive enough to think that corporate America is going to come back from this crisis with the same liability on payroll that they had going into it, you are misguided.
Yeah.
They're going to eliminate quite a few positions because they're realizing, hey, we don't need that. It's going to be in a lot of middle management. It's going to be eliminated. And what you're going to have, and we go back to that inequality gap again. Your base level, lower level employees will be there. They're going to take out a huge chunk in middle management. And so you're going to have your higher employees that's going to get a bonus because they just saved and increased net profit by 7 to 8%. And you still got your bottom line employees that are going to get that same 3% raise that they always get that doesn't even keep up with inflation. Right. And the rich get richer and everybody else stay here. And that's what's going to happen. So prepare yourself for it now. It's coming. It's happened in every cycle and every depression. If you study history, it's happened. It's not going to be any different this time. It happened in 2008 and 2009. It happened in 1984. It happened in 79. It happened in the Great Depression. It's going to happen again.
Mm-hmm. It's on the verge right now.
Yeah.
So
that's all I got, man. I felt like this was a heart show today. This was really a gut check coming from here because this is important stuff. It's not always the exciting, cooler talk stuff, but it's important that people know and that people are aware. And it's important that we understand the bigger picture.
That's right.
Either have those conversations with our kids, with each other. And so you can't say you didn't know change was coming. We told you it was coming.
That's right.
So start being innovative now.
I agree. Well said, my brother.
Well, with that said, I want you to have a good weekend. Keep having fun to yourselves. And if you just have to see somebody, and I understand that, just practice social distancing. Go and get enough 12 to 15 feet away and have a great conversation. Do those things to keep you.
Pick up the phone and call somebody. Pick up the phone and call somebody.
Charles said he said he's anti all of that. He's like, just pick up the phone and call him. But I understand if you a people person and it's getting to you, sometimes I can only talk to the wall so much. Sometimes I can only talk to Charles so much. And we talk all throughout the day.
Pretty good bit. But I was social distancing before there was such thing as
you were. I have to give it to him. And in all honesty, he was the understander, and he understood what was coming to us with the coronavirus long before I did. And if we would have gotten on board and I would have supported him, I said publicly, if I would have gotten on board with you earlier, we would have been ahead of the game in terms of supplies we needed and some other things. So you were right on that one. I was wrong. So I've admitted it.
It's all good. We still were further ahead than most. So
there we were. Thanks to you, my good brother. Well, this is Friday, guys. Enjoy your weekend. Have a great weekend. Continue to be safe. Continue to use common sense. I know it's not always coming, but it's definitely coming for you. So use it. And until next Friday, we will be talking more about inequality. So go watch Inequality for All. So go watch the Netflix episode, Inequality for All, so we can talk about that next week. I can't wait to hear your insights. and what you thought about it. I'm looking forward to it. Oh, Joyce from the great state of Pennsylvania. Hey, Joyce, how you doing?
Joyce, how you been? That would be
All
a
right,
good person to bring on to talk about the changing dynamics in higher ed.
I know she came along. Joyce, make sure you come back next week as we talk more about it. Guys, we appreciate all of you. Elise, Cherie, Mom, Iris, Rita, Willie Mae, all our regulars, and some. I can't even, Angela. I'm going to miss a name and get myself in trouble. Everybody, just everybody.
You're in trouble right there, House.
No, everybody. So that'll cover it. So until next time, have a good weekend, and we'll see you next Friday talking about Inequality for All, the Netflix documentary. And until then, be safe, be cool, and be easy.